All right, thank you, Gino. So, yeah, I'll be taking you through the session today, and there'll also be working alongside me is John Russell. He'll be, any questions or queries you've got, if you type them into the Q&A or the group chat, as Gino said, if you want a specific question just for yourself, then the Q&A and the other delegates won't see that, but otherwise you can put it in the group chat if it's more general. I'll just have a short introduction about me. I've been training with Pearson now for 5-6 years, I think, along those, doing various events. And more recently, I've been writing, so I was involved in the writing of the T-levels. And therefore, I've been sort of put forward now for doing the training. And really today, we'll just be doing an introduction to the T-levels. So John has put down for you to just introduce yourselves, and it's important really if we can get just a little bit of background to see also when you're just putting into the group chat if you actually if anyone's here who's actually started the T-levels in September, because that's when they actually did start, and some centres were trailblazers on that, and then who might be starting in September. I know John just wants a quick word, so I'm going to hand you over to John now quickly, just so he can introduce himself and have a quick chat to see what he'll be doing today, and then we'll get on with going through the training. Hello, John.
Okay, Matt. Yeah, thank you, and good morning, delegates. Yes, like Matt, I'm part of the training team and have delivered some T-level training before. You may remember last autumn and springtime before that. Yes, I'm a standards verifier and HN external examiner, and like yourselves have been teaching in college and a range of programs. So I'll be monitoring the group chat this morning. So I would encourage you, maybe if you have questions, and perhaps the answer may be of interest to other delegates as well, to use the group chat facility. Individual or particular questions or technical questions, you can use the Q&A facility, so we'll keep an eye on that. And yep, so this morning will be an informative introduction to the T-levels. And so thank you. And
thank you, John. Yep, thanks for that. So hopefully one of the main things, we're all in the right place. So just make sure this is for the T-levels in construction, design, surveying and planning. So if you are someone who's in design, because that's the other T-level that's going, or any of the other T-levels that are starting, you may just want to check. But yeah, so I can see already there are some people who have actually started the T-level already in September. Although this event is mainly for people, it's a starting event, so I presume hopefully you have started, although we have had a sort of a mixed year to be starting a new qualification. We'll hopefully everyone will be getting something out of this. So the session today is really about the planning of the T-level program itself. I'm going to run you through one of the most important things, or one of the most important areas for you as a centre, is the actual the Pearson website and the information you can get off there. We'll also go through the specification, not in depth, but just as an overview, just to see what we should be doing and delivering. And the key issues really today is I want really as much involvement through the group chat from yourselves, so that we can answer your questions and queries, because you can quite easily look up what you need about the T-level and learn from it that way, but we actually need to try and answer your questions and your queries and any other things that you might have. So I'm going to start with planning the program. We've done an introduction, so So yeah, I've already said that. Now, hopefully you can all see it. Any issues with the screen, you should be able to see the PowerPoint that I'm running through. Again, if things are running slowly, you're having any problems, please just bang into the group chat and then we can see, and I'll either slow down or do what's required. I'm going to run through the specification. We're going to do a quick, say, an activity. It'd be more just a discussion about planning a program. We'll do a bit of feedback, see what we've got today. The resource equipment requirements for delivering the technical qualifications, and any outstanding question that we might answer. One thing I did miss was this is part of a 4-part training session going today and tomorrow and next Thursday and Friday at the same time. It's like A, B, C and D. For today, we'll just be going through sort of an introduction to the specification. And I'm just going to check out now, I think tomorrow, hopefully you can all make it for tomorrow, but tomorrow we'll be doing I'm just getting something up very, very quickly. I don't know, have you got that up, John? If you can just add in the A, B, C and D. Have you got the spreadsheet there just to say what we're doing on the different days? If you're there, John, because I haven't got it open.
Yes, sorry, Matt. Yeah, no problem. I'll pop that into chat.
That's brilliant. If you can just do that, then we can see. So all I want is so the delegates can see what they should be covering today, tomorrow, next Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
Now, first thing I'm going to do is I want to look at the group chat and just see if we can introduce and look at some of the people here today. How many have we actually got in? How many are in the training today? Do we know that? Attendees, there we go. Refresh. There we go. That's better. Now I've got a full nice list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 19 of you involved. Yep, that's good. And have we got people? Is anyone from the same colleges? Yeah, it looks like a couple from Wakefield. And apart from that, it looks like we're all from separate colleges, which is really good. We've also, it's quite interesting that we've got some people from similar areas as well. So you've got Wigan, Burnley, you've got Solihull and Dudley colleges there. It's an important, something else to get into quickly, because it's a new qualification, we are having networking events where you can actually get involved and speak to people who've involved with the delivery and the qualification itself and of the centres. And it's really important, I think, at this point in a qualification to set up a network so that you can actually share information, which is really important. Okay. So, yeah, just running employment. So you've got some people starting next year, and we have got people who've already started. As I said a minute ago, this event really is for people who are starting next, because it is an introduction. And those people who have started, it would be interesting to get some feedback from yourselves on how it's gone this year. So I'm going to start by getting up the specification in a few minutes. But before that, I'll be going through it and getting it through the website. Delivery and support documents, external assessment, tips. And I'll also be, at the end, go through a couple of the updates that we've had due to the COVID pandemic and what's happening with exams and teacher assessed grades. So, 1 second. It is that next page, that's fine. So, the first issue is how are T-levels structured, how do they work, and from that, how can we plan the actual course? There are new qualifications, you're probably all aware. They've only been written, I think, 2 years. I was writing it about 2 years ago, so they only finished writing it in the March, and it's been released in the September for starting teaching. They're a new idea introduced. There's a lot of information on the DFE website about them, Department for Education, and it's, as we all know, it's a new way, hopefully, of delivering technical qualifications for young people. So it's made up of the technical qualification, an industry placement, some, I shouldn't really say functional key skills or English Maths level 2. There's digital involved in that as well. And sometimes there'll be additional qualifications required within the industry that will run alongside the qualification or be additional to it. As you can see, one unusual kind of quirk of the qualification is the core part of the specification, along with the employer set task, which is an externally set exam and a project, is graded from A star to E, as you would with traditional A levels. Then the specialisms are graded as you'd have seen in the past through sort of BTECs as P, pass, merit and distinction. This will all come together to produce a grade for the whole qualification. So that's one of the quirks of the qualification. You can see how it's been set out to, I think, give a bit more rigour on the academic side of it, while still providing sort of a technical side through where you get pass, merit and distinction. I don't know what people think of that, but it is what it is. So the technical qualification, planning, construction design, surveying and planning. I am now going to go over and I'm going to share a screen of the Pearson website. So I will hopefully, I'm going to go right back to the start, qualifications. There we go. Now, I need a little bit of prompting. Is that come up now, John? On the share screen. Hello? Let's see.
Yeah, sorry, Matt, I was muted. Just checking audience view now. It does not seem to have come up as yet.
Wait there. I'm just going to try it again. Try again. So that should now be coming up. I'm sorry for this slide. It's the first time I've used the interface, so if it is running slightly slow, I'm just a bit behind the scenes. There we go. Has it come up? Yep. Okay.
It has, yeah.
So first place, if you're brand new to the qualification, you want to find it. If you just go onto the Pearson website and you look at qualifications, right at the bottom of there is T levels, and you click it. And this will bring you up the T levels homepage. As you can see, I think there's only the two qualifications. There's the digital and the construction design. And we're interested in the construction design, so I'm going to get that up. So the homepage for the construction design and planning is there. You've got the full specification. Now, hopefully, anyone who is on this course has already looked at the specification, even so we're going to be looking at it today. If you haven't, that is your first place to start. You've got to download that specification and start having a look through it, reading through, and it's got all the information you'll need for delivering the course. Now, important on here, if I go back one, T levels, and there's some important information. If you go, I know I'm flicking through, I might be going a bit quicker than the machine's working, but if you click that you're a provider at the bottom of the T levels first page, there are some updates here. So this is a T-level for providers page, and one of the most important things for those people, especially those delivering this year, are the updates that were caused due to COVID. And this is the latest Pearson update. This is from February, with teacher assessed grade. So as I mentioned earlier, the core content is externally assessed, as with GCSEs and A-levels. And now these are going to be set if you have your learners down for an exam in June. These will be done as teacher assessed grades. And as with the other qualifications, there is the option, if a learner disagrees, there's all the different routes where they can ask if they can resit, etc., for any issues with the awarding the teacher assessed grades. But there is actually an opportunity to take the exam in November as well. So you can either, those centres who are delivering this year, there is the option to either teacher assessed grades if you've already got learners registered and ready to take the exam in June. If they haven't, they can actually take the exam in November. So that's the latest update. It's really important that you keep up to date with things like this on the website, and these will all be sent through anyway to centres. So carrying on with the website just quickly, I need to go to construction design, and what I'm going to do is just have a look at the specification. Now I'm going to just reload. I'm going to have to go back to presentation and share that screen again. So 1 second. And I think it's that one, and it's T-level specification. Okay. And this is the main document that we need for delivering the qualification, the T-level specification. Hopefully that'll come up in a second or so. As it says, for first teaching September 2020.
Yes, that's there, Matt.
That's there. Okay. Issue 1. So we haven't had any adjustments to it yet. And this is, first of all, you've got your introductions, as we always have in these specifications. Career-ready education, as I mentioned earlier, it is a technical qualification. It's hopefully getting learners ready for working in the work or getting into industry. So, as we said, the first two that Pearson are delivering are this construction and the digital. The main or a driver behind the qualification is the employer involvement. And I don't know if hopefully that's come up now, but there is a list of employers that have actually been working closely with Pearson to provide advice and guidance, and also what they actually want from a technical qualification, so that it's delivered at the right level, to the right depth, and the correct things are covered. Because what can happen with qualifications over time is they do become out of date. So that's why the employers are being strongly involved. And the other people who are very strongly involved in the development of the qualification are the Institute for Apprentices, or the Apprentices Board. So it's done between the Apprentices Board, and it's also done with the employers. So apart from that, the general specifications all standard. I've run through that, but you can see that the total guided learning hours and qualification time are on the summary. You've got an age range, 16 to 19. Awardment grade A star to E, that's for the core content, and the pass merit distinction for the specialism. And this is that first page, I'm on page 11 now with the specification. I think it's actually page 1 of the actual document itself. We have the actual setup of the weighting of the qualification. This is really important, really, in terms of planning of the qualification. As when you're setting down with your members of staff, etc., this is what you're going to have to work around in order to deliver the correct things to the learners at the correct time so that they are ready for these externally set exams. One thing I didn't go over actually at the start is those centres who are new to the qualification or thinking of, if you haven't already done so, you do need to register your interest in delivering the qualification, and also just do a short, or well, your staff, you'll either need CVs or a list of their qualifications, etc., just to show that you are you've got the staff who are competent to deliver the qualification, and as a centre you've got the apparatus to be able to deliver it successfully too. So that's part of the actual application process. If you are delivering a qualification, you must just fill out, there are some forms to fill out, and again, if on the website main page there is an overview of that to say what you need to do. Again, I presume most of you as centres have done this. At the moment I am, as I've got the share screen up here, I can't see any questions up, so I'll have a look at those in a minute. How it will normally also be set out with the qualification, it is perceived that the core component will be delivered in the first year with an employer set project, and then in the second year the learners will be able to specialise. So the core component contains information and knowledge that is covered by all the different occupational specialisms. So learners have got an opportunity at the end of the first year to select, as long as it's available at the centre, a certain occupational specialism at that point if they did want to change. So they may have decided at the start they want to do civil engineering, but might have, after the first year, want to do building services. It'll also mean that if a learner was to move from one centre to another or a different area of the country and they're doing the qualification, they should be able to continue as well, because they'll have done the core content and they can just carry on then in the second year doing the occupational specialism. Now, if I look back at John's, there we go, and we had, where was it now? I've shut down the group chat. There we go. Now, if we look at, just quickly, I just want to have a look what people said to the core content. So what we'll be looking at in depth tomorrow is the core content. Next Thursday, it'll be the occupational specialisms. And then on the Friday, it will be the external assessments. So we'll have a couple of papers to look at that kind of thing and how we're doing it. Now, I want to now just have a look through who's involved as well. Starting in September. So we've got Oldham College, you're looking at starting in September. I have had a couple of dealings with Oldham. It'll be interesting to see how they're going to get on with that. General. Oh, we've got John's added a couple of links onto the group chat as well. CIOB, I think there was some involvement of CIOB within the qualification. If we look at the specification again, I'll just look there and bring that down. Yeah, CIOB, there's Chartered Institute of Civil Engineers, and RICS has also been involved at some point within the development of it. So yeah, the professional bodies, if you look on page, it's just before page 1 actually, it's in the introduction of the specification. Did you want to add something in there, John?
Matt, I was just going to draw your attention to that question from Deborah.
Yep.
On, can people move from the T level to apprenticeship?
They
transfer credits. It's quite a technical question. We might need to put that up to Pearson.
Yeah, that's a really good question. What we will definitely do is these questions. John will make a note of these and we'll put them through to Pearson. The problem is I know with the old apprenticeship frameworks, you could just change around between different. You could move from a BTEC 1 level to another level and it wouldn't really affect your progression. The centres could still carry on with that learner, move them into sort of a day release mode, and it worked quite well. I think with the T levels, there is one issue with them. I suppose it's such a heavy weighting on the core content and the exam, etc., and you have the employer involvement as well. What you'd hoping for is that the employer would look at employing some of these learners at the end of the qualification. But it's a very interesting question. So how it fits into apprenticeships is very interesting. We have a lot.
I'll just email Gabriel Staples and Pearson to see if we can get a response to that in the meantime.
Yeah, someone else has mentioned there, Deborah, about CIBSE being different to CI. It looks like, actually looking at that on the specification, I'll just check it again. Was CIBSE wasn't mentioned, which is the Institute for Building Services, although CIOB was. So it's an interesting point. I suppose it's one of those things. Okay, so the main issue, or the main thing we want to get through today is how is the qualification actually going to be delivered, and how do you organise the different areas? So we've got this qualification time. So you've got to fit in to a year the whole core component. Now, we're going to be looking in depth at the core component tomorrow, but how do we organise the qualification? And I know a question a lot of people, or an issue, is getting the employer involvement, which is, if we look on there, I'm just going back a page, the employer involvement, which is, I think it's 45 days it works out to. It says it's put down in hours as an industry placement. And there's also an employer set task to go with that. Now, those people who actually started delivering in September, who is that? Who's actually on there now? Who's delivering in September out of those? It'd be very interesting to see how they've got on this year in getting the employer set task and what advice they've had in organising that, because I presume it's been a little bit awkward. So some feedback on that would be interesting, because, as I said, it's been a very unusual year, especially to start a qualification where we are sending learners out into the workplace as part of the course, and we haven't been allowed to, in a way. I know hopefully things will open up, but it is an interesting point. It's interesting to see how people have actually got on with that. So I'm going to carry through now. So thinking about the qualification. Now I'm not on share screen. I've got the presentation up now. So how have centres gone about now with the core content? As you can see, it's kind of broken up into areas, and it doesn't fit into the old modular set of units. So that's one of the key areas that you need to think about, is what kind of specialism do you need from your staff in order to deliver the qualification effectively, and who is going to deliver what. Because one of the nice things about sort of the modular way of working on the old BTECs was that you could set a unit, deliver a unit, and spread it out that way. Is a lot more to the centre. It gives the centre a lot more freedom in terms of how you want to break things up and deliver them. And as long as you get through everything by your exam time, that's the key issue that you've got to get through. So, building services. And then we've got to decide on, with the occupational specialisms, out of the centres there, I'd like if you can put into the group chat, out of the occupational specialisms, how many centres would be delivering 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the actual occupational specialisms? So if you can now, just if you go into the group chat, whether you'd be doing the surveying and design, civil engineering, CE, building services, and the hazardous materials. And also an interesting question, who out of the centres is anyone actually going to be delivering the hazardous materials? So going, just quickly, if you can just go into the group chat and for your centre, just say, yeah, we'll be delivering 1, 2, 3, and say you're delivering 3, just say not A, B, not one or the other. That's good. So when we're looking at 2, I would make a presumption it'd probably be surveying and design and either civil engineering and building services. But there's quite a few doing the civil engineering. How many are not hazardous? Is anyone doing hazardous materials? I'd like to see if anyone's doing hazardous materials. I'd be really interested. No takers yet. So surveying, yeah. So I can see straight away from there that as a qualification, it is going to be run along the same lines. And I presume most of you will be using the same staff who have delivered previously the BTEC. Would that be correct? That's a good point, Deborah. So in terms of surveying and design and the requirements for materials, etc., and what you'll need, most centres should actually have what they require to deliver that unit. It'd be the same with the civil engineering. The civil engineering, most likely most centres, apart from, I think one of the hardest ones is civil engineering is, I suppose it's the mathematical side of things, that does let some centres down in terms of delivery. You've got the building services. Again, the building services a little bit more. Building services. You need some bit more specialist staff, etc. But again, it's it is an area where there's a lot of apprentices, I suppose. So a lot of apprentices will be doing will just do an apprenticeship in building services instead of the T level, which I can see is quite a route that we've taken. So yeah, as I can see now that most centres are definitely doing the civil engineering or the surveying, with some doing the building services as well. And again, same, so some people are having to recruit new staff. It's an unusual time for everybody in terms of having to recruit staff. Yeah, but it's just one of those things that we've all got to live with. So I'm going to now go back onto the specification, and we go. So, one of the key areas of the delivery, you want to be trying to deliver things holistically at times. So, as though we're going into this in more detail tomorrow with the core content, you've got all those topics within the core content. Hopefully they've up on screen now, the health and safety, science, measurement, etc. There's 14, if I'm correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there's 14 topics, but these can be covered together, and that is an area where, as a centre, you want to sit down early on and work out what you're delivering and when, because you've got law, sustainability and health and safety. There's an awful lot of overlap there between those. You've also got the law aspects of design in terms of CDM, etc. So all that should be linking in to your delivery and delivering things sort of together in sort of an holistic manner, mixing the unit, not units at all, the topics up so that learners are seeing how they link together. The other aspect of the framework, as well as the core content and the occupational specialism, the general I've got it up there, the general competency frameworks for the T levels. There are English and math competencies. Did I say math? I've become American. Maths. And there's the digital competencies. These need to be covered through the qualification. Partially through maybe a level 2 maths, so learners might have GCSEs, etc. already, and that could be looked into. So the competencies are, although delivered, are assessed through all the different assessments that are carried out through sort of the projects and the the exams, etc. But these do need covering as well. So this can be, as you can see, some of the maths, a lot of the maths will be covered within the topic, which is like there's measurement, there's building technology, various things like that. A lot of the English will be covered in the writing of the delivery of the qualifications, as well as doing the projects and writing up the writing up reports, etc. And then you've got the digital as well, and that'll be done the same way. So they need to be. And then there's core skills as well involved. And the core skills, you've got communication, you've got working with others, you've got applying the logical approach to solving problems, research. So again, these are integrated into it, where they'll be assessed through the qualification as you go along. Okay, so in terms of an introduction to the actual specification, that's the starting point of where we need to get to. As I said, I don't want to get onto the core content today, because we're going to be looking at more detail into that tomorrow. Other areas, I'm going to shoot right now to the back. Now, this will take a few seconds to come up. I'm going to shoot right to the back of the specification, because the other important bits of specifications where we forget are the appendices and the areas right at the end, which give us the information about what we the sort of administrative aspects and etc. Okay, first of all, just a quick one. I've just got a page there with timings and schedules about the tasks and how long they should take. These are to do with the occupational specialisms. And it's got about submission of work. So again, it's always important to go to the back of the specification just to check. So one of the issues I was discussing earlier was the resources required in the delivery of a technical qualification. Now, point 9 or part 9 of the specification gives you a list of what you'd expect to have at your centre in terms of delivering the different parts of the qualification. So for the core content, we've got CAD software, drawing equipment, measuring equipment, demonstration equipment, project management software. There's also just the standard software as well that you'll need, sort of just like spreadsheets, etc., word processors. Although it's not down there, it's assumed that you'd have that equipment anywhere to college or school. And then there's a little bit of further detail, sort of building services, codes of practice, testing equipment you got for the hazardous materials. So I wonder why no one's put down for hazardous materials, but you need maybe a polarizing light microscope, a stereo microscope, fume cabinets, video recording equipment. You will require things sort of for the surveying. You'll need sort of surveying equipment, total stations, GPS maybe you might have nowadays. You will need CAD software, and the CAD software is something you will need across all parts of the qualification, apart from the hazardous materials, and civil engineering as well. So that's it's important that you check through the specification, you look at the far side, at the back end of it, where you've got the resources, etc. And if you are missing resources, you also, again, thinking for yourselves, you need to think, what resources might we need? And this is a time, especially if you haven't started yet, to get your requisitions into the bursar, or whoever controls the purse strings, and see what you can get out, because it is a time to get new equipment in. An important issue, because learners, as soon as they start, will want to know, what will I get out of this, is the grading. So the grading there is in part 10 of specification. So, as I've mentioned before, the core part is A to E, and the occupational specialism is past merit distinction. And this is just about notification and results reporting. Part 11, delivering assessment information. Again, it's about student registration, program delivery. It says there, program delivery is any form that meets the needs of your students. As it is, you should be using a wide variety of delivery methods if possible. An interesting one about the availability of live assessments. It does say Core 1 and Core 2 will be available in June. As I've already mentioned, that will now be a TAG or a teacher assessed grade, but it will be available in November. Okay. Resit arrangements. Again, there are resit arrangements in November. There's, again, as a centre yourself, you'll know about your specialist needs and if students need any specific needs, but that needs also looking into the special requirements. And as with all exams, there will be reasonable adjustment to assessments for learners who have needs or learning programs. And I'm just getting to the end of this. Okay. This is what I was mentioning before. Provider recognition and approval. So right at the back of there, part 12, I did quickly talk about that, but it's got about how to get approval as a centre. And as I said, the easiest way is you can just get in touch with Pearson, they'll run you through the application process. And that's the approval. And this is something I was just talking about. So it was about what level of sector knowledge is needed to teach this qualification. So that's quite important. Those people who are talking or mentioned about the recruitment of staff. So if you are recruiting staff, part 12 of the specification has a short area there where it says sector knowledge required in order to teach specification. Those people who are recruiting, that's the kind of thing what you're looking for in terms of recruiting for the qualification. Now, it's 10:53 now. I need a drink because my throat's dry. I'm going to have just 5 minutes now just to have a quick drink. And it'll give you just time as well to do the same. And also, if you've got any queries or questions, please put them down. It'll also give me time now just to quickly go through any of the group chat as well. Now I'm going to stop the screen share, and what we'll do is come back just 5 minutes, and I'll continue on. From what we've got to cover today, it looks like we will be finished a bit earlier than the 12 o'clock, but anyone who does want to stay around or does want to carry on with the group chat, we'll be around anyway, me and John. But is that okay with you, John? Are you muted? Am I on my own?
Yes, sorry, Matt. I was muted. Yes, that's fine. We've been dealing with some of the questions as they come in. Also, if you check your email, Matt, perhaps at this point you'll see Gabriel has sent quite a technical response through to Deborah's question regarding the apprenticeship. So I've put some of that feedback in there, but you might like to take a look at that.
That's the reason I wanted a little break, just to check through what people have put down, because it's sometimes difficult going through and then checking up the group chat and catching everything. So yeah, I said just 5 minutes out. If we go 11 o'clock, I'll be back at 11. I'll have read through that and just check through whatever I need to cover on the specification. And also, again, if there's anything else you want me to cover today, just put it down and we can have a look at that. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll see you at 11.
Okay, Matt.
Hello, I'm back. I hope you're all there. Right there. I presume everyone's back. I don't know if you can. We need a hand raise, don't we? We need like a little tick or something. But anyway.
Hi. So, Matt, I'm not sure if you checked your email on that.
I haven't got the technical one from Gabriel about the. What was it? About the apprentices, was it?
Yeah, sorry, I forward that. That'll be from me.
I'm connected to. Okay, wait there.
Also,
no, I haven't got it. I haven't got that. I'm afraid. I don't know if you. Is
Okay.
it? Could you read it out? I don't know. I don't know why I haven't got that. Anyway, weird. I'll just give it 5 minutes and I'll see if it comes through. Just from yourself. Okay. I'll have a little look and see what's happening. Update.
Okay. Yeah, you should have that there now.
No, I haven't got it. That's weird. I'm just going to check. I'm going to check my junk mail, although it shouldn't have gone there. No, it's not gone there. I'm going to check focus and other.
Okay, Matt, just while you're checking that, one other question. Can you just confirm the requirement for 3D CAD? I know 2D is certainly required within the employer specialist project for plans and elevations. 3D CAD is mentioned within the surveying design occupational specialisms.
Modelling program will be required for certain aspects. Now, I've got to say, nowadays, in this day and age, the most 2D will do 3D anyway. So if you're using AutoCAD, you can do both on that anyway. But even easier than that is to use actually specialist modelling software for those parts of it. So I know even using SketchUp you can do plans as well. You can do 2D and 3D with it. So, but you will require some modelling because there is a modelling task within the surveying part of the occupational specialism. In terms of the core, we'll look at that tomorrow, but it's not something that's going to be lost if you cover your 3D as well.
That's right. As Deborah has pointed out there, her college also has Revit, which will certainly be free.
It's a bit of I shouldn't advertise really, but there are there's our TurboCAD. But if you are a college or an educational establishment, you can use AutoCAD as an educational license, and the learners can get it for free. I think that's still the case, isn't it? I know I've been doing it for years. So you can download the educational license there, so learners can actually get it at home as well, so they can use those programs. That's with Autodesk, I think. Yes. Someone else has mentioned their SolidWorks as well. What I'd say about 3D, if you get someone in who's used a program and you can get hold of that program, that's probably the easiest way, because the easiest way to deliver or teach 3D CAD is if you use it yourself. So if you have I've used a bit of Revit in the past, and I used to train or teach learners CAD, and we also used to do some Revit with it. And that's the way it was. It's a very straightforward way of doing it. Yeah, and Deborah, oh sorry, it's John. Yeah, about BIM. BIM does come in. Building information modelling does come into the specification as well. So if you are using, in terms of building information modelling, it's not just CAD. Hopefully, we all understand what it is. It's all together. So it's putting prices. It's putting what do you call it, specifications. It could be even with what do you call it, with the civils and the building services with a full BIM package. You can do all sorts with that, including what materials you need, the specification of stuff, the strength of beams, etc. Can all be done through packages that contain all this information, as well as programming and planning linked in with it. So, yeah, when you have a full model of a project and you're using a big package, and you could actually do that along with the project as well. But that's for individual centres to look at, I suppose. Now I'm just looking at this email quickly. Yes, I've got it now. Okay. I'm just reading this myself before I read it out loud, so one sec. Okay, so what I've got is just Deborah mentioned about apprenticeships. So I've got that's really odd, that. Yeah, I've got both of those. I've got two off you now, John. They came a minute apart, so something's happened on the ether somewhere.
Okay.
So this issue that you've raised is being dealt with by IFATE, which is the Institute for Apprentice, isn't it? That's the one. In consultation with employer groups. So the Institute, along with the employer groups, have looked into this. They have undertaken some mapping, and the initial view is that it does have a fair bit of coverage of the knowledge, but the skills would need to be demonstrated in the workplace, and this wouldn't exempt them from that. So no formal exemption agreed, but in reality, they would be unlikely to have to do a full level 3 qualification like BTEC, and indeed, they would have a massive duplication effort for learners and probably not allowing funding-wise. So you'd be covered anyway. It would carry over with the qualification, they're saying, aren't they, in all likelihood. So would likely get to endpoint assessment sooner, but still have to evidence the skills. So I don't know if that answers your question, but some of the qualification could be carried over. So if they do the core knowledge, it's unlikely they'll have to do a full level 3 qualification. That's what they're saying. Funding is another issue, though, and we don't go there today. So, but yeah, IFATE have looked at it along with the employers, and they are looking at the knowledge requirements would be carried over. So I don't know if that answers your question or just makes it more muddy, Deborah, but it's there. Now, what I'm not on screen yet, that's fine. So what I was just going to quickly do is finish going through the back end of the specification, because there was some important information on there. Where was I up to? I think it was about the employee competencies. Some interesting ones. I don't know if you've got it up yet, but with the civil engineering, or with all the qualifications, you're looking at minimum level 4 qualifications, so HN or above. So higher nationals or above in terms of qualification-wise, but then a little bit experience or some experience. So for civil engineering, it says 5 years experience would be ideal. Membership of what do you call it, the Institute of Civil Engineers, and also some teaching experience as well would be advantageous. They should have experience delivering project-based qualifications, experience preparing students for examination, and knowledge of emerging technology and sustainability. Well, that's an interesting one, because experience of preparing students for examination-based assessment, you could have a lot of very well qualified teachers who haven't delivered examination-based until a year or so ago anyway. So I'm sure that can be covered as you're going along. And the same across the board, really. So the last couple of areas now. So we've got resources and support. Now, I don't know if that come up now. So there's just a list really of how to, just looking what information, sometimes they put in these drawings and we don't, there we go. It's still the same. You'll have seen this, anyone who's delivered BTECs or the level 1, level 2 or any examination-based qualifications. The teaching assessment is based on 4 overarching kind of headings. You've got your planning, you've got your teaching, you've got your assessment and your evaluation. And that's it really. So you plan, you teach, you assess, and then you look back at what went right, wrong, and etc., and then change what's needed. So you just got to really make sure students are going to be ready for exams. So it's really important early on to get some assessment planning down at the very start. Now, in the past, assessment planning has been done on sort of a modular basis, so that would have to change. You'd have to break down the specification, decide who's teaching what, and then put it into order, and then decide when you're going to cover things. You've just got to look at your year of when you're delivering, and also don't forget to incorporate your work experience in there or your industry placements. So these are all things that need looking into while you're developing your assessment plan for the actual qualification, and you get your assessment dates as well. So you're really working on your start date, your assessment date, and then sticking your work placement in there as well if it's happening that year. Same as. So that's, I think I'm through the Pearson. So T-level support web pages, I've been through them already. There is a call centre, so you can actually phone up. There's some email addresses as well for people to contact for the T-levels as well. And I think I am through the specification. So, and always a nice part of the specification at the end are the key words. They've still got those in, have they? So 1 second, no, that's it. There. So right at the end, and they've stuck it right at the back there. We've got the glossary of terms. So this is always an interesting one to go through is with your learners, is just what they need to do. So it's just the assess, calculate, complete, describe, discuss, explain, identify, etc. It's got definitions of those. And for example, an evaluation, if you've got to evaluate something, it'll normally be a high mark question in the exam. Therefore, when a learner's asked to do that, they must realise what is expected of that. It's same as explain, etc. So that takes us through the whole specification. And so we're going to go through parts of it in a lot more detail over the next 4 seconds, really. Now, I'm going to stop that, and I want to now quickly go to, yeah, right there, that's the one. Okay, and I'm going to, I think I should have, am I still sharing? No, I'm not, I've stopped sharing, I'm saying. So, that is, I'm just seeing what page I'm on now. That's the one. So, that's it. No, that's fine. So, sorry, jumping around here. Just a quick breakdown of the, what do you call it, in terms of this, the specification itself. So when we actually get to the parts about there are 2 specific parts of the specification. Again, we'll be looking at these in more detail again, but you've got the skill and knowledge content for the occupational specialisms are broken down separately, whereas you've just have knowledge on the core. The skills aren't involved. So what you have for all the occupational specialisms, there's a skill content, and that is related to a knowledge content. So the knowledge would be delivered sort of in a classroom scenario, and then related to the skills which the learners would then be carrying out either in a work placement or through just being at college and doing practical activity. And suitable workspaces. Just going the final bit about the resources. So I think I've covered all these. Any other queries on these? Suitable workspaces. suitable ICT facilities, material resources, and human resources. These will rely on what specialisms you are delivering. Oh, yes. So, yeah. Thanks, Deborah. A good. It's one of those. It's an area, especially with apprentices, that it'll have been something that someone like yourself has raised once the qualification has been partially structured. Therefore, then it's an issue that will need sorting afterwards, and they will get onto it because there'll be a lot of learners who will. A lot of learners will start this. Now, some will get a work placement. They may get a work placement nice and early. And if the employer really likes that learner, they might not want to let them go, and therefore wants to take them onto an apprenticeship. And then as a centre, it doesn't really help you an awful lot. So it's something that will need sorting. And as I said, the discussions are in place, but it's above our, or it's separate to something me and John are involved in. But there are people hopefully sorting that out. But it's also useful if you, I don't know, if we talk about the apprenticeships themselves that we talk to do. Have I gone? Something's happened here. Have I just gone off? Oh, you're joking me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Matt. No, we can hear you well.
My screen's just gone blank, that's all. So I am now just going to have to reopen it, that's all. I'm very sorry about this. I don't know why it's shut down at all. So I'm going to quickly now, where is it? Really sorry about this. I know it's on there. It's that one, isn't it? So all I was going to do then is go, I can't do anything. I'm just going to go back onto the website and just go through the other parts of that. Now, if I click here, that will hopefully take me back in.
Yeah. Just while you're doing that, Matt, you're coming across loud and clear. Yeah, that's no problem.
That's fine. I don't know, Chrome just shut on me. That's all it was. So I don't know why.
Okay. I was just going to remind you about the update on the teacher assessed grades for this year.
You can see me. There you go. That's fine. Now I'm back in there. So all I wanted to do quickly is go onto the website for one last time. I'm back on. Pearson qualifications. So I'm just going to share screen again. I hope I need to reopen all my windows again, but anyway. They're still there. That's fine. There we go. Share that. So I'm just going to go back on now to Pearson qualifications. I'm going to go to T levels. And just I just want to show you the rest of your information that is available within the website itself. Because, to be quite honest, this is where you'll get most of your information from. So, in terms of my staff and resources, I would be sending my staff, first of all, just to get the specification and using the materials that have been put on the website to help with the teaching and learning. So hopefully, is that sharing now again? Is that sharing the design surveying and planning page? John?
Yes, just checking now, Matt. It's loading at the, yes, we're sharing now.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm buffering now. Now it's just coming up. So when you go onto the page, there's the first part is specification and sample assessment material. So you've got specification, which we've had a look through today. What we then have is the sample assessment material. So what we have are a list of sample assessment materials that have been put together. There's also, for the specialisms, there's exemplification materials and this will give you an idea of what pass merit distinction would look like, or is expected to look like, from learners doing the occupational specialism. So they're all available on the on the website there, straight under the specification SAMs. So for each specialism and the core, there is a SAM, and there is I think there's also there's exemplification material for that, and there should be mark schemes. Yep, there's mark schemes there as well. So again, another area you want to look at when you're delivering the core is to check the SAM and see what's happening with that, and see what you actually need to deliver, as you do with delivering of any qualification. You've then got administration documents. So there's just key information there. Some of it's to do with pricing, some to do with key dates of assessment. There's the approval forms, etc. So in the administration area, just there's all the forms you'd need. And then finally, what we're going to quickly look through now is the teaching and learning materials that are available. So you've got some case studies to be able to use in the delivery. So there's a modular building there. There are various different ones to look at. So these can be used within your delivery and to help with your assessment. And we go do then, and there's ones that have been put in through by various different people written up. So they're ready to use. So all the stuff, all the information here is actually ready to use. And if you notice, most of it isn't password protected either. So learners can get hold of this as well. Some of it will be. And then there's some new information. These were added in February. So it's very important to keep checking teaching resources and resources that are available, because they are updated quite regularly, especially considering that the qualification is it's not even 6 months old, if that. So there'll be constantly updates of new bits of information, new assessment materials, etc. for learners. So you can see there, these are the new ones that have come up: civil engineering activity worksheet, project delivery guide. So if we look, there's project delivery guides being put together. These will just help you in the delivery of your the project that you're putting together for the learners. These are the employer-led projects, aren't they? So they're up there as well. There's the hazardous material ones, do evaluations, etc. I'm just going to go back again. Was there any other to teaching and assessment? So just quickly open these again. So we've gone for the new ones. Yeah, we've gone for the core content. So there's an awful lot. Surveying design, calculations, yeah. So that is what you've got to work with in terms of the qualification and the resources provided by Pearson. You've also got to think of your own resources as well. What do you call it? I was going to look the T levels. I mentioned about the networking sessions, didn't I? But I didn't give the there's a slight update on those. We are running networking sessions. I'm going to go back to the presentation now. So hopefully that's there. So we've got other resources.
Yes, Matt. Just on that point, I've given delegates the link to and some information about registration for those events.
You've done that. Yeah, I've noticed that Gabriel sent that through earlier, so I was I'll just quickly go through it. So John has put up the...
and just one other couple of points, if I could mention, I'll put these into chat. There was a kind of recent update about assessment for this year. Yeah. That we were going to mention. If you want to mention that.
I did mention that earlier, I think, but I'll go over it again just quickly. I'm sure I mentioned it, but I'll go over it anyway.
Sorry, about the centre assessed grades.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that, but I'll just quickly go. Yeah, just a quick one. As I said, with the networking events, really, really important, especially colleges that are working closely. Maybe, or to be quite honest, nowadays it doesn't matter how close you are. You can just meet up via Teams and Zoom anyway. We're all working remotely, so if there is a centre, it is important to talk and then look about the delivery. But there are the links that John's added. There are some spring sessions available to book onto, and that's sort of like a Zoom or a Teams kind of session where you can go in, you can talk to other centres who are delivering, you can see what things are going well, badly, how people have got around different things, maybe share resources. You are sent a link once you register. You're sent a link 24 hours before, and then you're ready to, and you can go onto the and join in on the chats or the networking events that we're putting in together. Yeah, the other thing that John mentioned there, I think I mentioned it earlier, but maybe I didn't, was the teacher assessed grades. It was on the, I'm sure I saw it when I first went on. I'll quickly share that again. Hopefully this will come up eventually. So we go in there. A second. Yeah, because I went to the bottom of the page. Now, if you look at T-levels, at the very bottom of the page, you've got the I'm an employer, I'm a provider. So you click on the provider. Anyone who knows any employers can actually get involved as well. I'll quickly go into that as well, but you've got the... so I've caught now. Is that showing now? So hopefully the website's showing. I should be on Communications Archive, should be showing. Is it there, John? Or is it still loading?
It seems to be still loading. No, you're there.
I'm there eventually. It's all right.
Yep.
So now that should have come. Yeah, I definitely bought this up earlier. So this is just the latest update from March. From the end of February about core content assessment update. It's to do with the TAG, the teacher assessed grade. And that's all it is really. Yeah, I definitely went through that. So that's fine. There you go. Also in that update, there's regularly half-termly network sessions. So apparently there's one on the 9th of March at 1 p.m. When's that? That is next. When's the 9th of March? That is Tuesday. Apparently there's one on Tuesday. So if you follow that link that John put in, you would be able to join those if you wanted to. So there's well, it's not designed to support. The TAG will endeavour to update you as much as we can in these sessions. So yeah, if you are, especially those who are delivering at the moment, it's really important if you get involved in those sessions, then we also need to know any issues you have as well. Otherwise we can't look into how we solve those. So yeah, hopefully is that actually there now, upcoming webinars? Yeah. Okay. I know it's all yes. Okay, I have gone on a bit. I'm just going to quickly check the group chat. Is there any major issues on the group chat, John?
No. Yeah, group chat's okay. I've been posting up some additional links that have been promoted in relation to the T levels. For instance, the MOBI. That George Clark website in relation to house construction, and another one that's very good in relation to modular construction is Off-Site Ready, and there's various training materials in that. So I've just been sharing a few links. No particular questions at the moment.
Okay. So I'm now. Yep. I can see we've still got people. Most of the people here with us, so that's good. For today, I think we're done really. We've gone through what we needed to in terms of an introduction to the qualification, going through the specification, talking about resources, looking at the website, etc. That's it now. What we've got now is a bit of time. If people are happy, then that's fine. If you have got further questions, please get onto the group chat now or go into Q&As and we can have a look at those. And I think I'm happy. What about yourself, John? Is there anything that you think we've forgotten?
Well, I think, if there is anything, obviously we'll be covering it tomorrow and the subsequent events. I think the main point today was to direct people who are starting the program next September to the various resources that are being developed. And within that resource section, you pointed out, Matt, new resources are coming up there all the time, particularly in relation to study guides for the various occupational specialisms. For instance, there's one in relation to commercial risk. They seem to be identifying topics that centres may not have, up-to-date familiarity with. So those are useful. For this course, as opposed to any other course, there are definitely tremendous resources being uploaded to the website. So I would keep a check, and get a good familiarity with the website and all the various parts of it. Those update meetings take place via Zoom, so they're interactive, and centres a good opportunity for centres to connect and share resources. But maybe the likes of Harkesh, who and a few of the colleagues here who are running, started already this September. Have they any feedback or advice to share this morning? Via group chat or...
just along with that, it's any other issue. Yeah, anyone who does, just add in the group chat now. I don't know who's here tomorrow. You could just put a yes or something, and we'll know. Because any other questions, if you think of anything overnight, then get raised, and then we'll look at those tomorrow, first thing. And after tomorrow's session, we then got a week before the following session. So any other queries or issues you could do with putting together tomorrow, and then we can either get in touch with either Pearson or employers, whoever we can, to get any responses for the following week. Because it's really just as an aside, you'll be able to see this presentation again online. It'll be put on the Pearson website under training, but you can also, there's lots of different bits of training. If you go on the website, like, you can see this session without any interaction, put together by I think Gabriel put that one together, just if you want to share it with your other colleagues and stuff without the actual stops and the flick throughs to the website, etc. So you can do it both ways if you want. But yeah, thanks for being with us today. Go on.
Sorry, Matt. There's just a point there came into chat from Julie, who their centre has been running it since September, and saying that it's going. Well, it's just relating to the T level in digital, which has been going well, but the importance of maybe ensuring maths and English.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't actually mention was the entry requirements of learners. Although there's no specific entry requirements, it's quite an academic. It's quite a high level that these learners are doing. So you need level 4s really. You need to be able to start in it. Otherwise, they're going to be lost to these learners. It's not an easy route. It's not designed for that. So, yep. Resources. Yeah, Deborah, I can see that resources. When you mean resources for takeoff, do you mean resources for starting to deliver? Is that what you mean there? I think so.
In the sample assignments, there are some very good material with completed pieces of work, which will be of benefit. But we can mention those tomorrow in the core.
Yeah. What's that? The transition quals, functional skills and key skills and all that from the past. Yeah. We'll discuss that. All right. Yep. Anyway, thank you, John, for your time today, and we'll be back tomorrow for a bit more. Gino, are you there? Do we need to get Gino to say goodbye?
Yes, nice. Gino was there.
That's fine. All right, I'm going to be logging off then now. So thank you, and I'll just stay on. I'm going to mute myself, but I'm going to stay on just to see any more questions and queries, and just pick these up. So that's a good one, Tim. Yeah. So we'll see about that. Thank you. Goodbye.